Welcome, Pete.
Yeah, we had an interesting family, a Italian-American family, 4 older sisters, anywhere from 5 years older than me to 11 years. So I had this combination upbringing of this big, loud family with, high drama and a lot of yelling at the dinner table. And then fast forward just a few years, and I was an only child because my sisters were married or off to college, and all of a sudden I found myself going to see Mel Torme with my parents and Frank Sinatra and Johnny Cash, and probably the youngest person in the room to have seen Liberace live at Radio City. But so it was an interesting upbringing. I had that big family, Christmas mornings, chaos, and then really an only child with my sisters in the background. But my father and my mother, but my father was really the one who pushed in our house. It was all about school. I knew if I did well in school, I quite frankly didn't have to feel the wrath of my father.
Right.
I was at Davis Polk, and I only applied to one school, Notre Dame. I was going to go to Notre Dame. He said, of the Notre Dame application, I'm going to have my assistant type it for you. He goes, any other application, you got to handwrite those. So I applied to Notre Dame. 2 of my sisters had gone to Notre Dame. My father had gone to Notre Dame, so I was certainly brainwashed. And
Catholic,
Italian,
and preordained.
And I loved, I bleed blue and gold. And went to Georgetown, and I really went to Georgetown because I had no idea what I wanted to do, and it bought me 3 years.
Right.
And then when I went to work for the law for Davis Polk, my father was never happy about that. He never wanted me to be a lawyer. He always knew that somehow I should be involved in sports professionally, certainly not good enough to do it playing-wise. But so he always wanted, he was very nervous when I was at Davis Polk that I wasn't playing enough golf. He's like, you used to play 50 times a year. Last year you only played 4 times. This isn't good. You're not as good as you used to be. Because we had that bond.
Yeah.
So for Christmas that year, he got my Mizuno grads, which were irons I used forever, and he took them to a golf shop and had Newman leather grips put on them. And that was going to kind of tempt me back into golf. And he was coming out of that parking lot, made an illegal turn and got T-boned, and 3 days later passed away. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That must have devastated you.
Yeah, it was. It was really tough. But you know what? People talk about regret. Like, I had such a good relationship with him. There was never of any of those, God, I wish I hadn't said that, or I wish we had done this, or we wasted time. So I don't want to say it was easy. I mean, it certainly wasn't easy. It was really difficult on my mother and on my family.
Sure.
But it was hard, but because I had such a good relationship, I got through it pretty quickly. And it absolutely influenced me to step back and say, hey, wait a second, what do you want to do with the rest of your life?
Right.
And so when you're a young associate at a firm like Davis Polk, there's no upside, right? I mean, the only way you stand out is if you make a mistake, because they just assume you're going to do everything well. And I was in one of the corporate groups, and you just get thrown into a room with boxes. And my task this time, a major chain of stores was being acquired, and I had to check the leases of all these and check the change of control provision in the leases. And I had gotten through probably 85 leases, and it was verbatim. And there were probably another 300 leases. So I started going from every lease to every 10th lease, and then every 50th lease. Kind of a I guess a Nielsen rating approach.
Auditors sampling.
Yeah. And I remember, so I do the report, and that haunted me, that I didn't take the time to go through every single lease to see if one of those provisions. I guess I remember going home that night tired, but just saying, boy, that was lazy. And that kind of haunted me it still haunts me.
Yeah, fair enough. A great round of applause, Pete, for your, really, just
Thank you.